Okay, so I'm at a state where I've got all of my sounds edited into place. Again, all I need to do at this point is to um, make sure that the project that I have will open up on when it gets submitted. So I need to hand in the entire project folder, and I need to hand in a bounce of my project. And we're going to do a movie bounce. So the first thing that I'm going to do just to make sure that my project opens up on someone else's computer is I'm going to use a command that we really haven't covered, and that is the save copy in command. So if I go to the file menu and choose save copy in, and I don't recommend doing this unless, this is a good way to recover and kind of consolidate your projects, especially if somehow you got files that were in other folders or stragglers. And what it does is it lets you save to different versions of Pro Tools, but you shouldn't have to worry about that unless you're working on Pro Tools 10. Really what we want to focus on here is this little section that says items to copy and choose all audio files. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose movie and video files and click OK. So we have to remember that to hand this in, I want it to say A120 underscore P1 underscore last name. I have a version number at the end, or the date that I saved this last version, so I'm going to trim that off. You don't need that on there. And I'm just going to choose a place for it to go to, so I'm just going to have it go back on the same hard drive. What I might do, just so I can find it, is I could put final at the very end. That would be okay. But just make sure that it's final, because I've seen where people will have like final 3, because they realize later that they've got something missing. So I'm going to click save, and you'll notice that it goes through and it saves my Pro Tools session. It makes a folder, puts my Pro Tools session in there, and it copies all the assets that are necessary for this project to open up on another computer. So I told it to save all my audio files I'm using and all the video files. And just to verify that, I'm going to go and look on the hard drive where it's located. And there it is, P1 final. Something I like to do if I know that I need to find this later is on the Mac OS, I like to give it a colored label so that I can easily find it. So I'll just highlight that in green. So next step now is I need to hand this folder in. I'm going to make a new folder inside of that parent folder, this project folder. I'm going to call it Original Audio. You don't have to do the underscore, that's just me being obsessive compulsive. And then take all the raw sounds that you recorded, put them inside that Original Audio folder. So you'll have to drag those in or copy those in. And then the next thing is that I'm going to make a bounce. So I'm going to bounce this as a video file from my Pro Tools session into that same project folder that I just created. So I'm going to go File, Bounce to, and then QuickTime Movie, which is a new one for us. So what this does is it allows us to save a movie from this, so we get the movie with our sounds edited to it. Now I don't want to do the whole thing, I don't want to do the whole movie, so I need to make a selection. And because, even though my clip is 2 minutes long, I'm not going to bounce the full 2 minutes. I'm just going to hand in the section that I actually have sounds edited to. At a minimum, you need to select your 2-minute selection. It shouldn't be longer than 2 minutes. It can be shorter if the area that you're editing is pretty short. And you can see that this one is about just under 18 seconds long. So I'm just going to make that selection. And now when I bounce this, it's just going to give us that one portion. So I'm going to go File, Bounce to QuickTime Movie. And I'll go through the bounce source, format, leave it as interleaved. File type is QuickTime. You can't really change that. Sample rate 48 kilohertz. I'll go ahead and bounce it. Again, with Pro Tools, it is a real-time bounce, so it'll take as long as your clip is. And I need to now specify where this is going, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell it to go into the folder that I created before. And because I'm lazy, I don't want to have to type out A120 underscore P1 underscore last name, so I'll just click on that link, maybe take away the final, and it takes that name. And I'll click Save. It goes through and bounces my project. And we're just about done here. So it's done with the audio. It now just kind of makes a little stitch to the video. And there is my video. So now if I push the space bar and I have the right audio system selected, I should be able to hear it. So now looking at what we have, here is my project folder. Inside my project folder is my working Pro Tools session with my video file and my original audio. So that's kind of it. The next thing that I'm going to do, though, is because we've had problems on our server where people will take a folder and drop it in, and things will go missing or things will get corrupted. So what the final step I ask you to do is to right-click on this or control-click and choose Compress. And what this will do is zip it up into a zip archive. You can also just select your folder and go to File and Compress. And this, depending on the size of it, will take some time, anywhere from a minute or two up to 5 minutes or so. And now it's finished recording, or I'm sorry, finished zipping this file. So I can see here is my zip file. So this file here, again, it had, if I did things correctly and labeled it in advance, it has the same name as my original folder or my project folder. That's what I'm handing into the server. So all I need to do now is go to Class Materials, find the Class Materials icon, open it up. So this means you have to be on campus to hand this in. Find my last name, Odd120, and then the Dropbox. And when you take something and put it in the Dropbox, it'll always give you this message saying you can put items into the Dropbox, but you won't be able to see them. Do you want to continue? Yes. So again, it's kind of like dropping something down a well. And again, this will take some time to, depending on the size of it, usually a couple minutes. And again, the more network congestion, or the closer we are to the due date, the longer it takes. The closer you are to the lab closing. So that's roughly it. That is the process to hand in project 1.